What's up, dudes? Wade Universe here, your match of the geeky and nerdy, and welcome to a new episode. Now, I'm gonna just mention this really quick. I've tried to record this 3 times so far, so if my voice seems kind of scratchy or etched out, just know that that's pretty much the reason why. And also to myself, I'm gonna sound like a broken record now, or a broken robot, so bear with me. So today I thought it would be fun to make a video basically promoting and talking about the Spider-Man multiverse movie that's coming out that is called Spider-Man No More Home. That is uniting the 3 Spider-Men that we all come to know and love. So I thought it would be fun to mention villains that we have not seen in a Spider-Man movie yet. So what I'm getting to is no Green Goblin, no Electro, no Shocker, no Vulture, no Rhino, no Venom, no Sandman. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's proceed. So the first villain that also Doc Ock is not on the list because he's already been told that he was going to be in that movie as played by Alfred Molina yet again. So Doc Ock is basically a freebie in this list. So continuing on, the first person I'd love to see in this movie is, of course, Chameleon. Chameleon is never set it up in the movies, but technically speaking, you can set him up in the Marvel Universe. Actually, pretty simply. You could have him be one of the henchmen or somebody, even a scientist in Andrew Garfield's universe that used to work for Oscorp. Somebody that was there behind the scenes. And you can have him meet with Alfred Molina and have him go around pretending to be other villains for the other Spider-Men until they unite together. Kind of bringing them together so he could unite his master plan against them. Now, of course, Chameleon is a self-changing person. In the comics, I think that he has like different masks that he can use for like a voice bot changer or whatever. And in the animated series, he wore a belt that all he had to do was just press, and he would change different forms. But in the movie, kind of would be more simplistic, maybe in terms just to have him do like the Dark Man thing, where he just puts on a different mask and he becomes that person. Kind of would make it easier instead of like, like I have this magical belt I took from nowhere. I am Spider-Man. Now I'm Dr. Octopus. Now I'm Aunt May. It would just make sense just to, have just him put on like a mask and then, there'd be a different performer or a different actor or actress standing right aside from you. I know that Chameleon is kind of like small time, but Chameleon has always been one of my favorite Spider-Man villains, and he's never really been used much, which saddens me, because he is one of my actual favorite villains of the Spider-Man franchise. Now, since we already have most of the Sinister Six already pointed out, it would make sense to me to actually put Scorpion into this movie. Scorpion is, again, another villain that I really like, that not really been played out so much in the movies. I love his performance in the Spider-Man PS4 game, but we haven't seen him outside of that. So it would be really interesting to have like Doc Ock, go to this guy and give him the armor. I forget his name, or have even Vulture do it. Have Michael Keaton's Vulture go up to him and say, "Hey, dude, you like me? Well, guess what? I got something for you. Let me show you." And then give him, the Scorpion armor and have him be set up. Also, you can have him in that classic comic book thing or PS1 game, if you go by my standard, where Scorpion is going up against J. Jonah Jameson. And it's a must, even though he's not a villain, technically he is, it's a must to have J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. If J.K. Simmons is not J.J. in this new movie, I want no part of it. And also, we have to have him laugh. That's a must. But, again, not villain, but it would be well worth it in there. Because basically, right then and there, you're setting up the Sinister Six. We already have Electro, Shocker, Rhino, Vulture, and Dr. Octopus. Putting Scorpion on there already made the Sinister Six. Already had basically what planned out in front of you. Now, I know I said no Green Goblin, and technically speaking, there's been 2 Green Goblins in the film franchise so far. Technically 3. But it would make sense, and hear me out when I talk about this, to turn Harry into Hobgoblin. Let me explain. It would make sense, yeah, to turn him into the second Green Goblin because he had been in the comics and whatnot, blah, blah, blah. But instead of a Green Goblin, it'd be really cool to have Hobgoblin. I mean, Hobgoblin had never been set up in a Spider-Man movie. He never had a major screen performance, and he never been set it up anywhere. I know that Hobgoblin is basically a low-life criminal who has never been shown, who gets a hold of the Green Goblin armor, the Green Goblin gear, and whatnot. But it would make sense to actually put him in the place of a Hobgoblin. I mean, we already had Norman Osborn in the other universe with Tobey Maguire die, and Harry did technically become Green Goblin for just a short time. It would make sense, since he already went from Green Goblin, and since we already had a Harry Osborn Green Goblin, to turn him into Hobgoblin. Now, the way that you could set this up is Harry doesn't die. Now, if you remember Spider-Man 3, Harry... Peter, Mary Jane, oh crap, I'm dead. If, you know, the famous ending scene that did also have me in tears. Then again, I didn't really like Spider-Man 3 all that much. Why did we have... No, you know what? It's a question for another day. I was just going to say, why in the hell do we have that 70s show in my Spider-Man? Why? Moving aside. Do not make him Venom. Please. Please. Okay. Moving right along, you can have him, instead of dying, he somehow survives that death. Like, the Green Goblin serum basically stitched him back up and he escaped. But since he doesn't want nobody to know that he is Harry Osborn, it would make sense to turn him into the Hobgoblin. Have his identity be a total secret and have everything be wiped clean about him in basically like the Green Goblin databank, so to speak. So you can have a free opening for the Hobgoblin. You just turn James Franco into the Hobgoblin. It would actually make sense. You could have him in a different armor with a different disguised voice. Sort of like do the Batman Begins thing with him. Except don't ever talk like this! Don't do it! Don't do it! No, you could have him talking like a more maniacal, loving tone Spider-Man! You know, something like that. But it really would be cool to see Hobgoblin set up in the new films. Now, somebody else who would love to take on 3 Spider-Men is Kraven the Hunter. Now, I know a lot of people are like, we need Kraven, and Kraven was never set up. That's kind of sad, especially how in even the Black Panther movie, we could have had Kraven the Hunter set up. But, regardless, you can still have Kraven the Hunter be in this. I mean, you never had Jake Gyllenhaal set it up to be Mysterio in any of the other films, so it would kind of make sense just to introduce Kraven the Hunter. Have him go across to different universes by like Doctor Strange or somebody else, and have him, you know, go from universe to universe, capturing these Spider-Men and putting all 3 of them together, and then pitting them off against their greatest foes from their movies. So in a standpoint, I mean, let's look at it this way. In greatest movie villain from Spider-Man, the original with Tobey Maguire, you have, again, Alfred Molina, a Dr. Octopus. In terms of the Amazing Spider-Man, you have Jamie Foxx as Electro. And in terms of Spider-Man so far, in my opinion, so far for greatest villains, you have 2. But you can pick either or. You can pick Michael Keaton Vulture or Jake Gyllenhaal Mysterio. It would really work very well, and then at the end of it, when they were exhausted from battling out against their greatest foes, Kraven can come right in and start wiping the floor with them while they're kind of unconscious. It's something that Kraven would do. The dude has the thrill of the hunt, and I mean, it would really make sense. Also, it would make sense if he takes the symbiote costume, as he did in the comics, use it against the 3 Spider-Men, because he's Kraven the Hunter. You don't just say no to Kraven, okay? It really would make sense to have him be in this. One villain that kinda would make sense in this, but I'm not really going to talk about it, is the Jackal. I want to stay far away from the Clone Saga. I hear somebody in the distance saying, "Why don't we put in Satan or Mephisto?" Because, strange person who chatted across my street, I'd love to have Mary Jane, played by Kristen Dunst, in this film and be introduced to the three Spider-Men, as well as also, I think her name is pronounced Zendaya, that played Mary Jane in the Tom Holland Spider-Man so far. So no, I don't want to see them stripped apart because of it's the greatest thing in the world, Mephisto. Fuck Mephisto. Fuck One More Day. It's not happening. However, if we do have to introduce another villain that would be interesting to see in the Spider-Man mythos, I can name a couple that would actually make sense, but just have them somewhere just for the funny bits of it. The superior foes of Spider-Man. It would be hilarious to have the superior foes of Spider-Man walk up to the three different Spider-Men and go, "Hey, we're taking over the town," and just have all three Spider-Man wipe the floor with them. It would be hilarious. Not be the actual villains per se, but in like a standpoint, just have them show up at like the end of the movie or something, and just have all three Spider-Man wipe the floor with them. It would be just hilarious watching them, like, "Ooh, we can take over the world," and then, "Oh crap," and all of them are just beaten up. One villain that would make sense in this regard is Carnage, because technically speaking, we already started up Carnage and Venom, the I forget. But it would make sense to have Venom be set up in this. Not just Venom, all the other symbiotes actually. It would be really cool to have all the symbiotes going up against Spider-Man in this crew. And because the battle gets so hard, they have to recount on Venom from, his own Venom movie. It would be cool to have them do that and unite with Venom to go against battle with this. And then at the end of the movie, the climax being that they unleashed Carnage. So it would make sense, and it would actually be a nice little retrospect, because the second Venom movie, it's supposed to be called Venom Carnage, or something like that. So it would be, like, very much acknowledging that it is, like, going to be the next Venom movie. Again, something that would be a nice little add to what they're going on to. Somebody else that should be in this movie, and in my opinion, would be nice, because he has kind of a long history with Peter Parker. Juggernaut. You can legitimately have Juggernaut in this film going up against Spidey. Now, I don't know if they would ever do it. I don't know if it would ever happen. But it would be a nice nod to have Juggernaut come in here, especially the actor that played him in X-Men The Last Stand, have him come up and just go against all three of these Spider-Men. Why? Simple answer. He's the Juggernaut, bitch. What do you think he's gonna do? Just walk away from a good fight? Heck no! One of the most famous comic books is Spider-Man in, like, I think 3 to 4 parts, taking on Juggernaut, trying to bring him down. And he noticed and recognizes how tough that Juggernaut really is. And Juggernaut is so popular as a Spider-Man villain, they brought him back in the video game Shattered Dimensions. So again, it would be nice to kind of have a nod to that. Also, if you really want to be honest, there is another thing that you could do, which is kind of a cop-out, but it's the last thing that I can think of, speaking of Shattered Dimensions. You can have all three Spider-Men uniting to go against Dr. Octopus, who made like a multiverse device, have them try and catch whatever that they need to in their dimension, to have them basically come together and and unite their universes back together in a normal way. Now, who would be perfect as Madam Web? Julie Andrews. Julie Andrews voiced her in Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions. Personally, she's at the right age. And personally, since she's such a great actress, it would make sense to have her as Madam Web. You can even have her try to sing a Mary Poppins song just for the heck of it, and then have all three Spider-Men going, "What is she doing?" And also, I'm requesting this. set up Miles. Please. Have some actor, even Jaden Smith, he is at the right age. You can have Jaden Smith in Tom Holland's film be shown as Miles Morales. He can just introduce himself like towards the end of the movie, like they bump into each other, and Peter apologizes and he goes, "Hey, I'm Miles Morales." Now you set up Miles in the comic universe. It's not a villain per se, but I think this is something that needs to be acknowledged in the movies because basically Spider-Man does die. And technically in speaking, you have the original Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man, and then as far as I'm concerned, because he's the youngest and he fits in so well to it, you have the Ultimate Spider-Man. So it really would make sense if Tom Holland's Spider-Man, not at this point in time, but hear me out, and I know a lot of people are going to become haters about this, have him be attacked by his own version of Green Goblin. You know, the giant mutated fire-breathing dragon Green Goblin. Have that happen and have Miles be set it up as the new Spider-Man. This way we're setting up Miles into the story. We already had that happen, basically, in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So if we do another Spider-Verse thing and have Miles go up against, be introduced at the end of the movie, it'd be great. It'd be fantastic. You just have to find a young actor that would be willing to do it. And personally, there's a lot of young and basically very talented actors that could fit Miles' suit, so to speak. The only thing is, they just have to speak, I think it's not Mexican, it's Cuban, right? I think that's what Miles did. Miles is half African American, half Cuban. I think I'm right. Please don't yell at me if I'm wrong. But it would be so great to have Miles be introduced in this. I mean, you know, you can have somebody play his father, and then you can have a nice Cuban actress play his mother. So you're introducing Miles into this universe. And that would be swell and fantastic. You don't have to have Spider-Man die, just like we did in the video games. You can have him still be around, but have him like suffer some type of like injury or something where he has to retire for a short time, and then Miles can come in and basically be introduced into the universe. And as far as I'm concerned, but another good person that would kind of, and I say kind of, be a nice nod to put into this film, especially the setup in this universe, Alistair Smythe. I mean, really think about it. Alistair can be behind everything. Alistair Smythe in the animated series was always behind everything. So if we set him up in this universe of like who are Vulture and Doc Ock and all these guys working for it, and you can have Alistair, like some very old, like, but well-known, like, old actor that played gangsters. Robert De Niro would be perfect. Al Pacino would be perfect. And just have him roll out and basically, like, I am the one that's been behind everything. And then have Alistair be behind every single enemy that the Spider-Man faced up to this point. It sounds insane, but that's Alistair Smythe. You can even have the Spider Slayers be set up, for God's sake. It sells toys. It sells toys. But what I'm asking for is, besides just a great movie with all my favorite Spider-Man in it, and also something that you guys should have in this, is a nod to Stan Lee in some shape and form. Have a nod to everybody that's worked on Spider-Man up until this point, but mainly Stan Lee. All I'm asking for is a great movie, maybe introduce Miles at the end of it, set up the next Spider-Verse of movies, and then from there on, after Tom had his trilogy, or even quadrilogy, I think that's what they call 4-movie series, right? You can basically set up the next universe starring Miles, and it would be so simple. Guys, thank you so much for listening, and thank you for watching. If you have a favorite Spider-Man villain that I did not list, that was not in the other movies that you'd like to see, let me know in the comments down below. And also, just spitting this out, can we have Spider-Ham? Just as if just an appearance somewhere? Just have them like come out at like the end of the movie for the Spider-Man, like let's just say like they're at a restaurant eating together and just talking about like working together, and then Spider-Ham out of nowhere goes, here, what? Never seen a talking pig before? And just have the Spider-Man just sit there and go, where did he come from? That would be hilarious. But in regards, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to tell me what Spider-Man villain you want to see in the movie, and let me know in the comments down below. And also, let me know how I'm doing with this video by liking it, commenting it, and also spreading it around on the internet. So thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to circulate these videos around the internet, and thank you very much for watching. This is Wayne the Universe signing out, saying remember, we might have a crisis on our hands. And it is called the multiverse. And until next time.